Now that you're confident of how to upload a part, let's dig into the results and machinability report that Toolpath creates for us. I'll use the sample part so you can follow along with what I'm doing. Clicking on the part takes us to the Overview tab, where we can immediately see the issues we may encounter. In the upper right-hand corner, we see our machinability score, which tells us how much of our part can be machined with the selected tool library. We always aim for a score of 100%. Speaking of tool libraries, Toolpath ships with two standard cut configs, and this is just a FAMT name for a tool library configured to work with Toolpath. We have a sample aluminum inch cut config with a dozen tools. Think of these as tools in your tool changer, and a DFM designed for machining cut config with about 600 tools varying lengths and diameters. Both of these cut configs have tool recommendation libraries set up, which we'll get into in a little bit. Looking at this part with the aluminum sample, we get a machinability score of 98%. Let's click on the warning, and we see Toolpath highlights the feature and tells us what's wrong. In this case, the available tool cannot reach this feature. Because tool recommendations are enabled, Toolpath suggests a few tools that we could use to clear up these issues. Let's take a quick look at this part with the DFM cut config. We get a 100% score and no tool recommendations because we have all of the tools needed from the DFM library. Let's talk about setups. Jumping over to the Setup tab, we can see the setups that were automatically generated by Toolpath. I like to click the Show Machining Directions button, which colors all the features in each setup to easily see what features are being machined. If you want to find a feature quickly, you can toggle on Mouse Over, which lets you highlight and view any feature on the part. Let's click on Setup 2. Clicking on the main feature highlights it on the model and then shows us each feature. Clicking once more on the feature gives us a bunch of details on the geometry, what tool is being used, and why. If we aren't thrilled with the finishing tool that Toolpath picked, we can simply click this icon and change out for a different compatible finishing tool. One more thing while we're on the Setups tab. If we click on Setup 3, we see there is a blind hole with the option to set a thread. If we want to make this a tap tool, we can click on this window and set the desired thread and pitch. Once selected, Toolpath will remind us it needs to regenerate. I'm going to revert to last generated and stick with no threads for now. Speaking of tools, let's hop over to the Tools tab. Toolpath has decided to use 9 out of our 3,000 tools to machine this part. Hovering over the Selected Tools button gives me a quick overview of what priority each tool has. We will dig into tool priority in a later video, but the quick summary is Toolpath lets you set up multiple libraries within a cut config and set the priority of each library, giving you control of what Toolpath sees as most important. Looking at the tool list, we can scroll down the list and click this drop-down arrow. This shows us the setup that the tool is used in, and by clicking on the setup, Toolpath highlights the features that the tool is used on. If you want more info on the tool, just click the name, and you can view all the parameters associated with it. Okay, so let's talk about the Strategy tab. Toolpath shows us homework by displaying the machining strategy before it's imported into CAM, consolidating all of our tools and operations for the fewest amount of tool changes. I can highlight each operation to see the features it will machine. Clicking this drop-down shows me all of the parameters for each operation, including speeds, feeds, width of cut, depth of cut, material removal rate, and cycle time. What you see in the Strategy tab is a one-to-one duplicate of what you'll see when it gets exported to Fusion. Last but not least, let's talk about the Estimate tab. We'll see a detailed breakdown for each setup, the associated features, machining time, and total cost per feature. The total cost is calculated based on your shop rate, which can be customized by building an estimate preset. Clicking on this Manage Presets icon lets us set up multiple presets for our shop. We can set up our machining rate, base cost, cost per setup, and even our tool change time. We suggest naming the estimate preset with the material and what machine it's associated with. Once we're happy with that, we click Save, and now, when we're estimating a part, we can find our saved presets easily here on the Estimate tab of our report. We can edit many different parameters on the fly, like machining rate, setup costs, and even material price. If you need to add additional costs, like post-processing, just click the Add button and total amount. The middle section gives us a breakdown of machining operations and their total costs. This gives us a quick way to see what features cost the most. The right-hand side shows us our estimate breakdown for machining time, setups, material, and other costs. In the next video, we're going to take these results in Toolpath and export them to Fusion using CAM automation